The fire panel said the executive lounge was empty. It was wrong. I opened the door with a voltage tester in one hand and found Victoria Hale, the 26-year-old CEO of Hale Vector, halfway into a clean white blouse. Coffee stained the silk shirt on the floor. Her eyes met mine, sharp with surprise, and for one terrible second neither of us moved. Then I looked at the ceiling, muttered an apology, backed into the hallway, and pulled the door shut so fast I nearly crushed my fingers. I was certain I had just lost the job that kept a roof over my 8-year-old daughter's head. By 9 the next morning, security was waiting beside my toolbox. But Victoria did not summon me to discuss what I had seen. She slid 3 of my rejected safety reports across her desk and asked, "How long have they been trying to make you disappear?" That question changed my life, because the answer reached into stolen money, my late wife's final secret, and a danger already moving through the building beneath us. Before I tell you what happened, like this story, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Would you risk everything for the truth if your child depended on your paycheck? I had worked nights at Hale Vector for 11 months. By day, its Seattle tower glittered like a promise made of steel and blue glass. At night, it became what every building really was: pipes, relays, access panels, and small systems that could fail when someone decided maintenance was optional. I was 30, and raising my 8-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. My wife, Rachel, had died 2 years earlier from a sudden brain aneurysm. One moment she had been laughing in our kitchen. The next, she was gone. Since then, I had built life around lists, school pickup, rent, night shifts, and fixed everything I could reach because the one thing I could not fix still lived inside me. Her face did not crumple. Sophie never gave people that kind of power. She simply sat straighter, folded her napkin beside her plate, and looked at me with a calmness that felt worse than anger. "Of course," she said. Clara picked up the folder. "The realtor needs these signed tonight if you want the closing date in October." Her eyes stayed on Sophie. "I didn't realize you were still working." "The project is finished," Sophie said. "Then why are you having dinner?" Victoria sat behind a desk that looked too large for her, though nothing else about her seemed small. She had changed into a navy suit after our accidental meeting the night before. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression controlled, and a paper cup of coffee sat untouched near her right hand. Security closed the door. I stayed standing. "If this is about last night," I began. The panel showed the lounge as unoccupied. I knocked, but the alarm tone, "It is not about last night." She tapped the reports. "Klein rejected all of these. Were the failures corrected? No. Exaggerated? No. Can you prove that?" I kept photographs, meter readings, and time-stamped videos. Off-site, relief or fear moved behind her eyes. "Good. Do not upload them to a company server." That was when my pulse changed. Victoria stood and crossed to the windows. Far below, traffic moved in wet silver lines through the morning rain. "Over the last 18 months," she said, "Hale Vector authorized $14 million for safety modernization in this building and our South Campus. According to the invoices, every defect you reported was already repaired." I stared at the papers. It wasn't. "I know. You know?" I inspected the east stairwell at 6 this morning. The image of the CEO in an expensive coat crouching beside a failing fan nearly made me laugh, but her face stopped me. "Why?" I asked. "Because 3 weeks ago, I found an encrypted file in my father's private archive. It contained vendor payments, internal objections, and a warning that someone had created a maintenance scheme designed to survive an audit." Her father, founder Malcolm Hale, had died the previous winter. The company still used his photograph in the lobby. Silver hair, confident smile, one hand resting on a prototype processor as if he had personally taught electricity how to think. Victoria turned toward me. Your reports are the first current evidence that matches the file. And you think Klein is stealing the money? I think he is helping someone steal it. I do not yet know who. I glanced at the reports again. Then call the police. If I do that before I can show a complete pattern, the board will call it an accounting dispute. Klein will destroy records, and the person above him will remain untouched. You have an internal audit department. The head of internal audit reports to our chief operating officer. Who do you suspect? I suspect anyone who benefits from me moving too early. She came back to the desk and stopped across from me. Mr. Brooks, I need you to inspect the systems named in these invoices and document what was actually done. Quietly, you would report directly to me. I let out a breath. You want a night maintenance technician to investigate your executives. I want the one employee who kept telling the truth after being ordered to stop. That employee has a daughter. Her expression softened, but she did not insult me by pretending the risk was small. I know. How? Your personnel file. Then you know I cannot afford to be a hero. No, she said. I know exactly why you cannot afford to be made the villain. That landed harder than I wanted it to. She slid a temporary access badge across the desk. It opened mechanical rooms, archive storage, and the executive service elevator. The kind of access Klein could later claim I had abused. I did not touch it. What happened to the person who made the warning in your father's file? I asked. Victoria's fingers tightened around the edge of the desk. I don't know, she said. It was the first lie she told me. I accepted the badge anyway. That night, Victoria met me in the sub-basement wearing work boots that had never seen real work. I noticed because she nearly slipped on the first metal stair and caught herself before I could reach for her. You can laugh, she said. I'm deciding whether it would shorten my career. Probably. Then I'll save it for my exit interview. Her mouth curved for half a second. It transformed her face, not because the smile was dramatic, but because it looked rare. We started in the fire pump room. An invoice claimed Meridian Safety Solutions had replaced the controls 8 months earlier, yet the cabinet still carried its 9-year-old factory seal. Inside, a pitted relay could have made the pump cycle on and off during a fire. Hale Vector had paid $248,000 for work, worth a fraction of that, and never performed. Every floor gave us another piece. Old smoke dampers billed as new, cheap batteries inside premium housings, and a suppression sensor bypassed, so its fault vanished from the dashboard. At the loading dock, I handed Victoria vending machine coffee. You look like you sleep 4 hours a night. That is an inappropriate question for an employee to ask his CEO. I can ask the sprinkler system instead. She laughed softly. The executive coffee is worse. I have a recent reason to avoid it. Color touched her cheeks. For the record, you did the right thing last night. I am a maintenance technician. Ceilings are a safe professional interest. Her smile stayed longer this time. Then her phone buzzed. She read the screen, and the warmth vanished. Klein just used his access card at headquarters, she said. At 2:15 in the morning? She nodded. We shut off our flashlights. The service corridor went dark, except for the green glow of an exit sign. Footsteps sounded above us, then the heavy click of a door opening. Victoria moved toward the stairwell. I caught her wrist. Not that way. Her eyes dropped to my hand. I released her immediately. The stairwell camera covers the landing, I whispered. If he checks footage, he will see us. There's no other exit. There is, if you do not mind dust. I led her through an access hatch into a cable chase barely wide enough for our shoulders. Klein's flashlight swept the corridor outside. When a loose conduit clanged under my boot, Victoria gripped the back of my jacket. "Someone down here?" Klein called. My phone vibrated. Lily's school nurse. I killed the screen before it lit and waited until Klein finally left. Lily had a fever and needed to be picked up. "Go," Victoria said. "Klein will ask why I left. I will tell him I reassigned you. That puts your name on it." "It is already my name on the building." She said it without pride, more like an admission. I left. By the time I reached Lily's school, Victoria had arranged a company car to take me, called Human Resources to authorize family leave, and texted me a single line. "Your job is safe. Be her father tonight." I stood in the nurse's office reading that message while Lily slept with her cheek against my shoulder. For 2 years, people had praised me for being strong. They meant well, but strength had become another bill I was expected to pay. Victoria was the first person who had told me I was allowed to choose my daughter without apologizing. That was the first moment she became more than the woman behind the largest desk in the building. Lily's fever lasted 2 days. On the second evening, my doorbell rang while I was making chicken soup from a can and pretending it was homemade. Victoria stood outside holding a paper grocery bag. I looked past her toward the apartment stairs. "Is this an inspection?" "No." "An executive order?" "No." "Then why are you at my home?" She lifted the bag. "Because the only thing in your refrigerator was mustard, orange juice, and something that may once have been lettuce." "You inspected my refrigerator?" Mrs. Alvarez did. She is remarkably persuasive. From the couch, Lily called, "Dad, let her in. She brought the good crackers." I closed my eyes. "You met my daughter before I answered the door?" She opened it. "I told her never to do that. She asked for identification." "That sounds like her." Victoria entered with enough groceries for a week. I started to object, and she stopped me by holding up the receipt. "Payroll deducted it from the emergency executive meal budget," she said. "You are not accepting charity. You are helping me abuse a ridiculous policy. That is still charity with paperwork. It is compliance." Lily laughed from beneath a blanket. Victoria sat on the floor beside the coffee table and helped her rebuild a model wind turbine for school. She did not talk down to her. She explained how the blades converted motion into energy, then admitted when Lily's design was better balanced than hers. I watched from the kitchen, stirring soup I had forgotten to heat. Victoria looked different in our apartment. Younger. She had traded her suit for jeans and a gray sweater, and without the architecture of the executive floor around her, I could see the tension she carried in her shoulders. Lily held up a cardboard blade. "My mom liked numbers." Victoria went still. "She worked at a place with lots of numbers," Lily continued. "Dad says she could catch a mistake from across the room." "Lily," I said quietly. "It's okay," Victoria said. But her face had changed. Lily reached into the box where we kept craft supplies and pulled out Rachel's old brass keychain. A small compass stamped with the words, "Find true north." She used it as a weight when glue needed pressure. Victoria stared at it. "Where did your mother get that?" she asked. I set the spoon down. "Why? Was she employed by Hale Vector?" The apartment seemed to narrow around us. Rachel had worked in accounts payable for the company for 4 years. But I had not mentioned it. After she died, I took the maintenance job because the health insurance was better than what I had before, and because staying connected to the last place she had known made a strange kind of sense. "Yes," I said. "Why are you asking?" Victoria stood too quickly. "I should go." "No." Lily looked between us. I lowered my voice. "You saw that keychain and recognized it. Tell me why." Victoria's eyes moved to Lily, then back to me. "Not here. My anger rose because fear was underneath it. You came into my home, and your daughter is sick. Dad, Lily said, I'm not that sick. I forced myself to breathe. Victoria picked up her coat. Tomorrow, I promise. You already lied to me once. She stopped. I saw that I was right before she spoke. At the office, I said. When I asked what happened to the person who wrote the warning, you said you did not know. I did not know for certain. But you suspected Rachel. Yes. The single word struck like a door slamming. Lily's face tightened. I hated that she had heard it. Victoria knelt in front of her. Your mother was very brave, she said. Lily looked at me, asking permission to believe her. I could not give it. Please leave, I said. Victoria did. The next morning, I took Lily to school and found Victoria waiting in a conference room with a locked metal case. No lawyers, no security, just the two of us and the rain ticking against the windows. She opened the case. Inside was Rachel's compass keychain, or one identical to it, and a stack of printed emails. Victoria touched the duplicate compass. My father gave these to 12 employees in a private ethics group he started 5 years ago. The idea was that they could bring concerns directly to him, without management interference. Your wife was one of them. I sat down because my knees had stopped feeling reliable. She never told me. The members signed confidentiality agreements. My father believed secrecy would protect them. Did it? Victoria did not answer. She slid the emails toward me. The messages were written under an anonymous code, RB17, but I recognized Rachel's style immediately. Precise. Unemotional until the last paragraph, where frustration sharpened every sentence. She had found duplicate payments to Meridian Safety Solutions and 3 other vendors. She had traced them to bank accounts controlled through shell companies. She believed the invoices were being approved by someone above facilities. The final message was dated 6 days before she died. I have reason to believe employee access records are being altered to create a future scapegoat. If this continues, someone innocent will be blamed when the physical systems fail. My vision blurred. She knew, I said. She knew part of it. Why was nothing done? My father scheduled a meeting with her. She died before it happened. And then? Victoria looked toward the window. Then he closed the ethics group and sealed the archive. Why? I think he was afraid. The company was negotiating a merger. A criminal investigation could have destroyed it. So he buried her work. Yes. The honesty in that word hurt more than an excuse would have. How long have you known? I asked. 3 weeks. You recognized my name the moment you read the file. Yes. And you brought me into this without telling me my wife was involved. I needed to verify the evidence before I reopened your grief with a suspicion. You used me. I asked you to document systems you already knew were unsafe. You let me crawl through a wall while you knew Rachel had warned your family about the same people. I knew that if I told you immediately, you might confront Klein. You might go to the police with an incomplete file. You might put yourself and your daughter in danger. You decided that for me. Yes. She did not hide from the accusation. That made it harder to stay angry and easier to feel betrayed. Victoria pushed the case toward me. Take copies. Take everything. You do not owe me your help. What are you going to do? Finish what your wife started. Because it is right. Because it is right. And because my father failed her. There it was. The wound under all her control. I should have walked away. Instead, I read Rachel's last email again. Someone innocent will be blamed. I thought of my rejected reports, my access badge, the invoices that claimed repairs had been completed on nights I was working. Who has access to alter the logs? I asked. Victoria met my eyes. Klein, Internal Audit, the Chief Operating Officer. Grant Mercer. She nodded. Grant Mercer had been Malcolm Hale's closest lieutenant and the man most board members expected to run the company after his death. Instead, Malcolm had left voting control to Victoria. The newspapers called her appointment bold. Inside the company, people called it temporary, when they thought she could not hear. "What is your plan?" I asked. "Build an evidence chain outside company systems, confirm the shell companies, secure the original access logs, then take everything to federal investigators and the fire marshal at the same time before the board can contain it. And if Mercer finds out, he will try to remove me. He may try more than that." "I know." I closed the case. "Then we stop letting you investigate alone." Her face shifted, almost imperceptibly. "This does not mean I forgive you," I said. "I know. It means Rachel deserves an ending." Victoria nodded. "So do you." For the next week, I answered work orders while Klein watched me, then met Victoria after midnight. Meridian Safety had no office or employees, and its listed owner had died 3 years earlier. We traced payments, matched serial numbers to false purchase orders, and found premium battery boxes filled with cheap substitutes and sandbags. "They counted on no one opening them," I said. "They counted on everyone being afraid," Victoria answered. Fear was the real security system protecting the theft. Afterward, we ate breakfast at a waterfront diner where the waitress called Victoria Honey without recognizing her. "What did you want before being CEO?" I asked. "To design low-power processors. My father got sick, and the board needed a Hale name." "So you gave up your life. I called it temporary." Her eyes lifted to mine. "Is that what you did after Rachel died?" "I gave those years to Lily. That is not the same as wanting nothing for yourself. You always ask questions like subpoenas, only when someone avoids the answer. What do you want now?" She held my gaze until the waitress set down our plates. That became our pattern, moving toward something neither of us named, then stepping back. Victoria came to Lily's wind turbine presentation and stood in the back with rain on her coat. Lily beamed when she saw her, then insisted on pizza. At the restaurant, Lily asked whether Victoria wanted children. I nearly choked. "Someday, maybe," Victoria said, "with the right person. Dad says the right person stays when things are hard." "I said that once," I muttered. "3 times," Lily corrected. Victoria's eyes met mine, and something in my chest moved. Outside our apartment, she handed me the updated evidence drive. "You keep this copy. You trust me with it? I trust you with more than that." She stood close enough that I could smell rain and coffee. "I need to tell you something." My phone rang. I almost ignored it, but the screen showed Hale Vector security. The guard on duty said someone had entered the maintenance archive using my credentials. By the time we reached headquarters, 3 years of paperwork orders were gone. My locker stood open. Inside were company checks, a burner phone, and Meridian payment approvals carrying my employee number. Klein arrived and performed surprise badly. "What the hell is this, Brooks?" Victoria stepped between us. "No one touches anything until outside counsel arrives. Security Chief Dana Cole said the files had been created from my assigned terminal." "I did not create them." "Mr. Brooks was with me when the archive was entered," Victoria said. Klein's eyes narrowed. "Where?" "Off-site." The answer protected me, but gave the board a different weapon. Klein looked between us and understood. Grant Mercer arrived with 2 attorneys, silver-haired and calm. "Mr. Brooks, you are suspended pending investigation." "The evidence was planted," Victoria said. "Can you prove it?" Her own question returned like a blade. She could not yet. I was escorted out before sunrise. By noon, my bank account had been frozen under a temporary fraud inquiry. By evening, a local business reporter had left 3 messages asking whether I had used fake vendors to steal from Hale Vector. Lily heard one of them. "Did you steal something?" she asked. "No." "Then why do they say you did?" "Because someone is scared of the truth." "Are we going to lose the apartment?" I wanted to promise her we would not. Rachel and I had always believed children deserved honesty in sizes they could carry. "I am going to do everything I can to keep that from happening," I said. She looked down at the compass keychain in her palm. Mom would know what to do. The grief in her voice nearly broke me. "Your mom did know," I said. "She left us a map." That night, Victoria came to the apartment again. This time I did not invite her in. "The board has called an emergency session tomorrow," she said. "Mercer will ask them to place me on administrative leave." "Will they?" "Probably." "Then release the evidence now. We do not have the original server logs. Without them, Mercer will claim the files were fabricated by you and approved by me to protect you." "Protect me because of what?" Her silence answered. "The rumors have started," I said. "Yes. About us?" "Yes." I laughed once, bitterly. "There is no us." Pain crossed her face before she could hide it. I regretted the words immediately, which only made me angrier. "I have a daughter asking if we will be homeless," I said. "Your board can vote you out, but you will still have shares, lawyers, and somewhere to go. You think I do not know that? I think you can afford courage better than I can." She stepped closer. "Then let me spend it." I looked at her. "Tomorrow, I will give the board the evidence we have and disclose the conflict," she said. "What conflict?" "You." The word hung between us. Her voice lowered. "I should have kept this professional. I tried. But somewhere between the fire pump room and your daughter ordering me to eat pizza, I stopped seeing you as an employee." My heart hit hard against my ribs. "Victoria, I am not asking you for anything. I am telling you because Mercer will say I protected you for personal reasons, and part of that accusation will be true. You protected me because I was framed, and because the idea of you losing your home makes me feel like I cannot breathe." The hallway seemed to tilt. I had spent 2 years refusing to imagine another woman inside the life Rachel had left behind. Every new feeling felt like a betrayal, as if love were a room with only one key. Victoria did not ask me to choose. She turned to leave. I caught her hand. She looked back. "I stopped seeing you as my CEO the night you told me to be Lily's father," I said. Her eyes shone, but she stayed still. "I do not know how to do this," I admitted. "I do not know how to want someone and not be afraid of what it costs." "Neither do I." That was the most honest thing either of us had said. I kissed her. It was not dramatic. No music. No perfect timing. Just her cold fingers tightening around mine and the soft, startled breath she took before she kissed me back. Then Lily opened the apartment door. "Oh," she said. Victoria and I stepped apart. Lily looked between us, considered the evidence, and smiled. "I'm going to Mrs. Alvarez's." "Lily." The neighbor's door closed behind her. Victoria covered her face with one hand, laughing quietly. I laughed too, and for a few seconds the fear loosened. Then her phone rang. She answered, listened, and went pale. "What happened?" I asked. "The South Campus data center just reported a suppression fault," she said, "the same model listed in the invoices. Is anyone there?" "Night crew. 12 people. I grabbed my coat." "You are suspended," she said. "The fire does not care." We reached the South Campus in 20 minutes. Smoke drifted from a rooftop vent, and the alarm strobes flashed without sound. The audible circuit had failed exactly as my report warned it could. I ran to the control panel. The screen showed a clean system even though the air smelled burned. "Someone bypassed the fault signal," I said. Victoria called emergency services while I pulled the manual alarm. Nothing happened. We started evacuating people room by room. In the battery storage area, a charging unit had overheated and ignited plastic casings. The sprinklers above it were dry. The main valve had been closed and tagged as serviced. 2 technicians were trapped behind an electronic door that had failed locked. I used a Halligan bar from the emergency cabinet to force it, while Victoria shouted through the glass, keeping them away from the smoke. When the door gave, one technician stumbled out carrying a metal server cartridge. "Leave it," I said. "It has the access archive," he coughed. "Mercer ordered a migration tonight. We were told to wipe the original after transfer." Victoria took the cartridge. There it was, the original log we needed, almost destroyed in a fire caused by the very fraud it could prove. Firefighters arrived before the flames reached the main server room. No one died. One technician suffered smoke inhalation. The building lost millions in equipment, but the archive survived. At dawn, as emergency crews rolled hoses across the wet pavement, Klein appeared near the security gate. He looked at the cartridge in Victoria's hands and ran. He did not get far. Security Chief Dana Cole, who had followed us from headquarters, blocked his car with an SUV. Police found a remote access device in his bag and messages from Grant Mercer ordering him to complete the cleanup before the board review. Mercer was not foolish enough to sign his full name. He used initials, but the server logs did more than show who had altered my credentials. They showed that Mercer's executive token had access to the maintenance database on every night fake approvals were created. Victoria had enough. The board meeting began at 10. I watched through a glass wall as Victoria presented the false invoices, shell company transfers, Rachel's emails, planted evidence, and original access logs. Mercer reframed theft as an unofficial reserve that had protected the company. Then he attacked Victoria for conducting a secret investigation with a subordinate with whom she had a personal relationship. Several directors looked persuaded. "I concealed information because I did not know whom I could trust," she said. She placed Rachel's final email on the screen. "My father chose the company's valuation over an employee's truth. I inherited his title and the consequences of his silence. I will not continue it." Mercer smiled. "A speech does not erase your conflict." "No. So I am removing it." Victoria handed the secretary a letter. "I resign as chief executive, effective immediately." The room erupted. "My resignation is not an admission," she continued. "It prevents this board from turning my position into the issue. Complete evidence has already gone to federal investigators, the fire marshal, and independent news organizations. My controlling shares are in a voting trust ordered to support a forensic audit." Mercer's composure cracked. "You will destroy this company." "No," she said. "You nearly burned it down. Investigators entered and led him away. Klein cooperated within a day. Mercer had diverted more than $18 million through 4 shell vendors and selected me as the scapegoat because my reports made me easy to label unstable. Rachel had predicted the plan before I even worked there. My accounts were unfrozen, my name cleared, and a settlement offered. I accepted only after Hale Vector funded Lily's education, compensated retaliated maintenance workers, and created an independent safety fund in Rachel's name. Victoria did not return to the tower. For 3 days, she did not answer my calls. On the 4th, I found her at the ferry terminal with 1 suitcase and a laptop bag. Rain blew under the roof. She stood near the gate to Bainbridge Island, staring at the gray water. "Were you going to tell me?" I asked. She turned. Surprise crossed her face, followed by something guarded. "How did you find me?" "Lily called your assistant. I no longer have an assistant. Apparently, loyalty survives payroll." She looked down at her ticket. "I rented a place for a month. I need to decide what comes next." "And you thought leaving without saying goodbye would help?" "I thought you needed space." I needed you to answer your phone. You have your name back? Lily is safe. Rachel's truth is public. And that means you disappear? Her chin lifted. Your wife's final work exposed my father's failure. I brought danger into your home. I kissed you while I was still your CEO. Every part of this is complicated. Yes, you deserve uncomplicated. I stepped closer. Do not decide what I deserve. The echo of my accusation in the conference room passed between us. She had once decided what truth I could handle. Now she was deciding what future I could choose. I am not asking you to replace Rachel, I said. No one can. Loving her was not a position that became vacant. Victoria's eyes filled. I thought moving forward meant leaving her behind, I continued. But Rachel did not leave me a command to stay broken. She left evidence. She left Lily. She left a compass that says, "Find true north." I took the brass keychain from my pocket and placed it in Victoria's palm. You are not my past, I said. You are not a reward for surviving it. You are the woman who walked into a burning data center beside me when you could have protected yourself. You are the woman who gave up the title everyone thought defined her so the truth could not be buried. And I love you. Her breath caught. The ferry announcement sounded overhead. I kept going because some moments punish hesitation. I love you when you are impossible. I love you when you ask questions like subpoenas. I love the way Lily trusts you and the way you never ask her to forget her mother. I am afraid. I will probably be afraid for a long time. But fear is not the same as a warning. Sometimes it is just the price of wanting a life again. Victoria closed her fingers around the compass. What are you asking? She whispered. Miss the ferry. A tear slipped down her cheek and she laughed. That is your grand romantic plan? It gets more detailed after lunch. What happens after lunch? You come home with me. Not forever today. Not as a promise we have not earned. You come have dinner with Lily and me. Tomorrow we figure out tomorrow. She looked toward the gate. The final boarding call sounded. Then she tore the ticket in half. I was hoping you would say that, she said. I kissed her beneath the leaking terminal roof, while commuters moved around us. It was not private or polished, but it was a choice made in daylight, with nowhere to hide. When we reached the apartment, Lily opened the door before I could use my key. You missed the ferry, she said to Victoria. Victoria looked at me. Your daughter knows everything. She runs a troubling intelligence network. Lily held up 3 plates she had already set on the table. In the center sat her model wind turbine, repaired again after one blade had snapped. Rachel's compass no longer weighted the glue. Victoria wore it on a chain around her neck. Dinner was burned grilled cheese and tomato soup. Victoria ate every bite. 6 months later, 5 executives had been charged, 3 directors had resigned, and Hale Vector's emergency systems were replaced under public inspection. The Rachel Brooks Safety Fund began paying whistleblowers' legal expenses. I became director of building integrity on the condition that I could still take Lily to school. Victoria founded a small company designing low-power emergency sensors. We did not rush. She kept her apartment for a year, and we argued honestly about grief, money, boundaries, and bedtime. Love felt less like a miracle than maintenance, attention, truth, and fixing small failures before they became disasters. I trusted it more for that. On the 2nd anniversary of the wrong door, Victoria invited us to her rooftop. A clean white blouse waited in a gift box. You ruined the last one, she said. I did not spill the coffee. No, but you changed everything afterward. Lily groaned. Extremely cheesy. Victoria handed me another box. Inside was a brass compass engraved Rachel, Lily, Victoria. She took my hand. Can I keep choosing north with you? I had carried a ring for 3 weeks. Lily shouted, Dad, this is when you use it. Rachel was not erased from that moment. She remained part of the courage that brought us there. But the future belonged to the living. Yes, I said, dropping to one knee. For every tomorrow we earn. A year later we married outside Victoria's workshop, with Lily holding the rings and Rachel's photograph tucked inside her bouquet. It was not moving on. It was moving forward. Sometimes the door you open by mistake does not lead to shame, scandal, or disaster. Sometimes it leads to the one person willing to see the truth you have been carrying alone. And sometimes everything changes not because two people stop being afraid, but because they finally choose each other while the fear is still there. If Ethan and Victoria's story stayed with you, like and subscribe, and share one truth in the comments. Is love strongest when it rescues us, or when it teaches us to stand beside someone without trying to erase what came before?